This is a press statement by the Liberation Veterans for Raila, Wazalendo, and Raila. We have called you here today to state our reasons for supporting the presidential candidacy of a comrade in the struggle, Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. There are reasons we have formulated after careful evaluation of the candidate, which has involved scrutinizing all his weaknesses, as well elaborated by his worthy opponents, and weighing them against his strength, that we probably know better. The lobby that is made up of persons who participated in the struggle for the freedom that we enjoy in Kenya today, or the relatives of such persons, has listed down the reasons for supporting our candidate as follows. 1. In and out of power, the Prime Minister has consistently proved the person best able to articulate the aspirations and defend the rights of Wanjiko, the ordinary Kenyan, who has persistently been oppressed, suppressed, and persecuted by a government system first created upon the arrival of the colonial white man in Kenya at close to the 19th century. Out of power, the Prime Minister spent 9 of his best years of his youth languishing in political imprisonment for refusing to support the oppression of Kenyans and demanding a guarantee for the rights of all who live to live in the dignity and prosperity we all deserve as citizens of a free nation. 2. In power, the Prime Minister has demonstrated true statesmanship in difficult circumstances and, for instance, proved many wrong who predicted a collapse of the coalition government. He provided the tolerance and level-headedness required for the coalition to survive. At the same time, he stood firm when he was called upon to protect the rights of Kenyans. This is exemplified by his steering of the struggle for the new constitution. The latest action in this line is his refusal to support the retirement benefit bill and to stop the thieves and robbers from using parliament to raid public coffers dead on their tracks. I'll say that again. The latest action in this line is his refusal to support the retirement benefits bill and to stop the thieves and robbers from using parliament to raid public coffers dead on their tracks. Number 3, the Prime Minister has assisted in the rehabilitation of neglected freedom fighters and their families by his regular visits, support, and giving them a ready audience. This has resulted in the government building decent homes, providing employment, paying medical bills and funeral bills, and other forms of support. The families of freedom fighters with us here today can give live testimonies of support by the Prime Minister. The forms and instances of support are too many to list in this press statement. The Prime Minister was instrumental in the legitimization of the Mau Mau Kenya Land and Freedom Army that had remained banned and criminalized and a criminal organization since the colonial days. Number 4, the Prime Minister has effectively demonstrated his capacity to work with people across ethnic, regional, religious, and even ideological divide for the nation's good. He, like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, his dad, has shown he is ready to sacrifice his political ambitions for the common good by helping leaders from other ethnicities and regions rise to power. For the sake of Kenyan youth who may not know this historical fact, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga refused to take power at independence and demanded first the release of Jomo Kenyatta from colonial political prison. He then proceeded to successfully support Kenyatta for the presidency. Likewise, the PM proposed and successfully supported Mwai Kibaki for the presidential bid in the then popular National Rainbow Coalition, NAC, in 2002. His ability to work across the ideological divide brought him to work with other Kenyan leaders, including Daniel Arap Moi, which ended with the implosion within KANU, when Moi chose Uhuru Kenyatta as his preferred successor for president in 2002. The older ones amongst us here remember that it was also Jaramogi who called Mr. Mwai Kibaki from his teaching job at Makerere University in Uganda to come and be the executive officer of KANU. And the rest, of course, is history. Number 5, we have listened to the demands of the PM's worthy opponents for him to retire with President Kibaki because he is allegedly too old. Has been in power long enough with little to show for it. We concede that the PM is certainly not a youth. He aged long ago in Kenyan jails, paying for the democratic agitation for our freedom. He aged in the opposition trenches, fighting tyranny. He aged fighting for the constitution that ushered in a new era of democratic freedoms for us and prosperity. He aged in government, working with President Kibaki and other leaders to build the highways, the airports, the seaports, railway stations, the schools, hospitals, and power stations, fighting Al-Shabaab, and ensuring all the other developments that are set to make Kenya a middle-income nation by 2030. He aged in government, acquiring skills he needs to navigate the rough waters of Kenyan politics and governance. And yet, at 68, he is not old enough as our founding president, the late Jomo Kenyatta, who rose to power at well over 70 years of age, or Mwai Kibaki, who became president at 71. He is not yet as old as the great Nelson Mandela, who became president of South Africa at 76 years. We discourage against attempts to link a leader's age with leadership ability. Dictator Idi Amin Dada of Uganda grabbed power in Uganda at only 46 years of age. Samuel Doe of Liberia did the same at 29 years, and Adolf Hitler was only 44 years when he rose to power in Germany. These youthful leaders were a disaster, not only to their own people, but to all humanity in the crimes against humanity that they committed. Perhaps the best illustration of the meaninglessness of a leader's age is a comparison to the performance of President Daniel Arap Moi and that of his contemporary and age-mate Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia. President Moi of Kenya was 53 when he took power in 1978 and ran this country down. He was President Moi of Kenya was 53 when he took over in 1978 and ran this country down to its knees in the 24 years that he ruled. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia was 56 when he took over in 1981 and made his country a newly industrialized nation in the 22 years that he ruled. Dated this 15th January 2013. Thank you very much. We'll take questions.